Ladies and gentlemen, from the land of the gateway of the West, ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Worldwide Technology Raceway. The Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Cup Series is here for 140 scorching laps of competition. Shane Lake and Jordan Brockwell inside the Tony Trapazzo Memorial Broadcast booth. We're sitting here with Daniel Crum, watching him qualify. And Jordan, you remember hearing about Flat Stanley as a kid? My friend, this track is more like a Flat Darlington.
You got that right. Two different types of corners, and definitely going to be tricky on these guys tonight. We saw last night in the Xfinity series, guys making runs and, really having to have strong corner exits just to be able to pull some kind of side draft and really make a good run down the back and front straightaway to get everything going. Tonight, not too terribly hot, sitting around 97-degree track temp, 78-degree, ambient temp. So, I mean, it's not terribly hot out. It is clear, so you do have a chance of maybe heating up throughout the race once we get some rubber laid down. But should be a good race, good, interesting race. These cars are highly aerodynamic, or aero demanding, and they require that to really have a good drive. So, while we're here, we're going to go ahead and get into our grid. Got Jacob Jensen and Scott Ramler leading off on the front row, followed by Dalton Fredericks, Joshua Vidal, Brandon Stower, and Gary Wells. Caleb Lamb, Taylor Bertram in 7th and 8th, Daniel Krim in 9th, Jonathan Cogswell in 10th, followed by Stephen Timko and Logan Kogart, rounding out your field for tonight.
Yeah, and the thing about this race is this is playoff race number 1 for these guys. Coming off of Talladega, which saw Caleb Lamb pick up the win. Right now, the top 6 drivers are separated by 28 points going into this first event. We're going to have ourselves a points battle by the time this is over, and I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen here tonight for sure.
Yeah, and if last night was any inclination on how this is going to go, these guys are going to run as hard as they possibly can. They want to get that win in. The win puts you into the next round. And, having that safety before going into the next race is always going to be a great thing for you because, don't want to have to go into next week and really have to worry about, a road course like Road America to be what gets you into the next round of playoffs. You want to be able to go into Road America and, know no matter what I do this week, I'm into the next round and I can focus on the track after. So,
yeah, the biggest thing these drivers want right now is momentum, especially the playoff guys. And going into a track like Road America, I've driven that place in a cup car, and it is absolutely demanding. So, especially with these 5-speed gearboxes that these cars have, it's very technical. So you want to be able to have the momentum of winning here and being able to say, yeah, I can semi-forego Road America and just kind of concentrate on the week after that, because I don't need to worry about winning here. I'm going to put the pressure on everybody else, and that's what winning here tonight is going to do for somebody.
Yeah, 100%. And it's very easy with these cars. I've seen it even in just races like this at a normal short track or a mile where you're able to shift down into that 4th gear going down the front stretch or going into the turns. And we've seen some guys misshift and drop down two gears and ultimately spin themselves out, or downshifting too quickly. And so you have a very small chance or a very large chance of spending yourself around trying to downshift too quickly into those corners at Road America. So it's going to be key to run up front here, maybe even get yourself in on points. If you get all 10 stage points and pull off 2nd, 3rd, maybe make yourself a little bit safer for next week.
Yeah, and you brought it up, the best point available, wheel hop. And that's a dangerous term even here, because you're going to see guys drop down to 4th, and some even might want to run 3rd gear going into 3 and 4. You pop that clutch, you pop those gears a little too soon, you're going around, because the back end is just going to start bouncing around like a jackrabbit, and the next thing you know, you're in the fence and you're dreading next week.
Absolutely, and you do not want to go into next week dreading anything, but I can tell you right now, these boys are ready to rock and roll here at the Worldwide Tech Raceway. Slowly rolling down that front stretch, getting ready to set these puppies loose as Jacob Jensen enters the box, goes and pulls on Dalton Fredericks going down into turn 1.
Yeah, he's got himself a good 2-3 car length advantage as the battle is for second place between Dalton Fredericks and that 57 car of Michael Raymer. Right now, Jacob Jensen's got the best thing going. He's got a mirror full of everybody and a clean windshield in front of him to be able to try to set the pace early here tonight.
Yeah, and last night Jacob Jensen had a great run until he was one of those guys that ultimately downshifted a little too quickly, sent himself around. Liss Ramler showed a lot of potential to put on a good show for himself here tonight, getting the win in the Xfinity Series. So, a lot of strong contenders early here that put on a very good show last night, and that's always key. Get a little bit of practice in a different car and set yourself up for the Cup Series.
Yeah, it looks like we got ourselves a little bit of action in the back here. I'm watching Caleb Lamb free falling through the back of this order. I think he caught the wall a little bit and ended up dropping down, or somebody caught the wall and ended up knocking him almost into the infield.
Yeah, and this track does have a lot of grooves. You can really kind of run just about anywhere, but it does get tightened up pretty quickly on that off corner, so it sets up for some scary moments.
Yeah, it's definitely like a funnel coming off of these corners, because you can win 2-3 wide in the corner, but you got to be able to maintain coming out. There's a lot of opportunities when these tires get old to try to put it to somebody if you saved a little bit. But right now, there's nobody saving anything. As we got a battle brewing up front here, looks like Jacob Jensen's got himself a little bit of company with Raymer and Fredericks right behind him.
Yeah, back up front, Dalton Fredericks did set the fastest lap time the lap before and this time around at a 34.41, running just a couple of tenths just a tenth faster than our leader right now, who's got a mirror full of Scott Liss Ramler, and Ramler has his mirror full of Dalton Fredericks.
Yeah, big orange is looming large right now in Ramler's rear view mirror. But right now, the biggest thing that these guys need to do, and I'm seeing this kind of spreading out the field a little bit, everyone seems to be starting to single file out and just want to kind of click laps off before they get to that stage break on lap 40.
Yeah, and that stage break is key because you get that stage win, and then you can also pull up a playoff point that you get to carry on into that next round. So it's going to be very, very important.
It definitely is. And a little bit of a side note, that is such a weird place to put a porta potty here at Gateway. Where exactly are you going to park to use that?
You got to put them where you got them.
Necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, I guess whatever works, right?
Hey, if it works, don't fix what's not broke, I guess. Back here a little further in 7th place in Cogswell, looking for a good night. Chasing down Gary Wells, who's the only guy that's behind him in points right now. So, Cogswell looking to really try to maximize his points here, get himself up a little further into the standings here and try to get a little bit of breathing room, going into next week. Even maybe get some things squared away, get some, changes in the setup and pull off a win.
Yeah, and it looks like Gary Wells, I've been watching him the last couple of laps. It seems like he's trying to diamond these corners a little bit just to save a little bit of tire, because there he goes right there, entering a little bit higher than everybody else, and then just drives it to the bottom of the corner, or at least attempts to, and just seems to be saving a little bit of tire on exit. So maybe he's trying to do a little bit of a long-term strategy here to see what's going to happen later on down the race.
Yeah, and tires are very important here. It was a very key thing from last night to notice that it was an absolute necessity to try to keep those tires under you. And, it's not easy to do, especially when you're being run down by the guy behind you. Oh, it looks like, I want to say, Taylor Bertram getting a little loose back there coming down the front stretch.
Yeah, I think he had a moment coming off before. I mean, great grab, but unfortunately that's going to hurt his chances early in this race.
Yeah, he's going to have to really kind of set sights on just kind of letting those tires come back to him and working his way back towards Daniel Krim and Steven Timko, who he's around. and kind of hope for that stage break to come before he gets lapped.
Yeah, because right now it seems like, unfortunately, he's got himself roughly about, from what I'm looking at here, right about a half a lap before he'd end up getting lapped again. So he's got to focus on just putting. He's just got to put a little bit of a bit of a gap between himself right now. So
Back up front, still some action going. Still got Rambler trying to hunt down Jacob Jensen, and Dalton Fredericks just right there, hoping that maybe these guys get into each other a little bit, get beating and banging, so he can grab that track position.
yeah, and that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize is Gateway does run a bit like a short track. You're just carrying that much more speed. Again, flat Darlington. You run that a lot like a short track at times because you end up racing so many different people. You end up banging off of each other just like a regular short track. Gateway does the same thing. You just have to be careful protecting your tires because you hit somebody hard enough, there goes your night with a busted toe link, or even worse, the whole wheel coming off.
Jacob Jensen goes a little wide there. Sorry to cut you off there, but move for the lead. Not quite able to make that pass there, but Jacob Jensen already kind of, I'd say maybe mirror driving a little bit too much, found himself drifting up the track and opened the door for Scottless Rambler.
Yeah, it looks like Rambler tried to make that stick, and it just did not work. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, as we have this battle for the lead brewing, we're going to take a nice early break to try to pay a few bills off. So you won't miss too much going on here. We'll be right back after this.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Massive hit for Logan Kogar on the front stretch. Absolutely annihilated the inside wall. That machine is hurt. He's not doing so hot right now, but we stay green out here on the racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like he just broke loose coming out of turn 4. He tried catching it and just knocked the fence down.
Oh, actually, it does finally bring out the yellow flag here. So under our first caution here, about almost midway through our stage here, It's going to be interesting. You know, I wonder if anybody's going to maybe jump on these tires or maybe try to save a set and just continue to run the stage out. You know, we saw a lot of guys, as I say that, Jacob Jensen, Scott Ramler, and everybody following in tow down the pit road. So definitely looking different than last night. You know, last night we had a lot of guys stay out, really try to make some runs and really kind of stretch everything out.
Yeah, one thing I've learned when it comes to calling league races, never try to guess pit strategy. We end up looking like idiots at the end of the day.
Yeah, everybody's got a different mind of thinking, and you know, I mean, just about everyone comes down. Stower and Wells and Lamb, those three stay out, taking track position over the tires and a little bit of fuel here.
Yeah, I think those three are looking to probably end up flipping the stage, come in on lap 40 to have the fresh tires, and just try to make the advantage there, because there's going to be a lot of these guys that are going to end up staying out and trying to, you know, have the advantage at that point. But at the same token, 20 lap old tires here, it's going to be a huge difference.
Drag race off, and I think Jacob Jensen's still going to keep the lead. Man, those cars were almost perfectly in sync there going off a pit lane. You know, it looked like an orchestra, you know, working together, and as you know, Frederick dropped down, Ramler dropped down, and then Jensen dropped down, and then they all three kind of take off around the same time. So super close battle off, but you know, Jensen able to keep a little bit better track position, but you know, going to be behind these guys who have a little bit, you know, older equipment. You know, they're going to be on about 17, 18 lap old tires. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly, you know, that comes into fray.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I'm looking over Jensen's car right now. His car reminds me of an old Busch Series car that Rodney Combs used to drive in like 1995 that had a split personality. Yes, I just dated myself, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie, I was going, So Brandon Stower, Gary Wells going to be our two on the front row right here. You know, Gary Wells definitely looking to hopefully grab the stage win. You know, give himself a lot better of a position going into you know, the later stages of this race. You know, he's sitting, you know, about 5 points out of, you know, 8th place to get to that last transfer spot. You know, he's sitting down there in 12th right now. So any kind of points he can grab here is definitely going to help his case, you know, going into Road America.
Yeah, and that playoff point for winning a stage is going to be vital, as I believe the iRacing.com pace cars lights have been turned off. Storer and Wells are going to be bringing everybody out of turns 3 and 4. We've got ourselves our first restart of the evening.
Yeah, we saw Jacob Jensen really kind of able to pull on those guys right to start, but these guys are going to have to worry about a little bit of tire spin, you know, if they're not careful, as they reach that Geico restart zone. And Stower is off as soon as he enters the box, and he pulls massively on them, but Jacob Jensen following right in tow behind him.
Yeah, he got that outside groove working, and that was huge because he'd be able to get back on the throttle on the cleaner side of the track. So he didn't have to worry too much about grip, but now he's going to someone with 4 fresh tires with Jacob Jensen breathing down his neck right now.
Yeah, you can see already Caleb Lamb kind of lost a handful of spots there right on the restart. You know, jumped by Liss, Ramler, and Fredericks right off the bat, and you know, already showing that maybe not the best case for him, but you know, jumping back up front, Brandon Stower still hanging on to that lead. But, you know, could this be where Jacob Jensen, you know, having fresher tires might kind of just let Stower run out front and, you know, not really worry about him as he kind of looks to the inside there off of turn 2?
Yeah, right now he's just filling his mirror. He's just making him sweat a little bit because he knows that Stower's got those old tires. And look at the send going down into turn number 3. Looks like Jensen's going to make the move stick. Back up front, Jacob Jensen.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Stower, I'm going to say that he's going to be under fire from 2 other cars of Fredericks and Ramler here relatively quickly.
Yeah, well, he's going to fight back on the outside, trying to take the lead back, but it's not going to work. What he's going to do is open up the door for Big Orange, that 20 car. Dalton Fredericks going to make a move to the inside, try to make a move stick going into turn 3. We are 3 wide for the position.
Oh, I don't know how they made that work. As Frederick goes up, they're
not going to. Fredericks with a save.
Ow. How did Frederick save that? I do not know.
Oh my goodness gracious. That was unbelievable.
As they're 3 wide again going into that corner as he gets split by Vidal and Cogswell. Gary Wells loose on the outside. There, oh, he still got it loose. He saves it, gets a, oh, I think he's, yep, and he lost it.
Yeah, this is probably going to bring out a yellow, I think.
No, I think we're going to stay green.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate for that 87 machine there. So unfortunate. Still just chugging along though, really trying to maybe try to get that damage fixed and, you know, hope for some other crashes to get the laps back.
Yeah, as we come in this replay, he just got up in the marbles, tried to get on the throttle, and just broke it.
And then once he got that shot from Timko, there was nothing he could do. He's just getting hit all over.
Yeah, that last shot sent him square into the fence right front first. That car is going to be hurt the rest of this race. That is unfortunate for him.
Back up front, Jacob Jensen pulling a good amount of a lead, about a half a second on Scott List Ramler, but Ramler setting the fastest lap of the race at a 34.34.
Yeah, he's going to try to be reeling in this 64 car here before too much longer, but right now the biggest thing they've got is a gap to third place with Stover looking like he's roughly about, I want to say, what, 3 seconds back or so?
Yeah, roughly sitting around that 3 second mark.
Well, you know, right now this is the best thing that Jensen and Ramler could have is just that little bit of a gap where they can just settle in, know that they're not going to be too far under fire because the next person behind them is on much older tires.
Yeah, and you know, looking at it, it's almost like Fredericks can't really find a way around him. You know, Stower just having enough to drive off. Looks like he might kind of concede here a little bit, you know, to try to save a little bit more, not have to drive as hard. Actually, no, it looks like Stower might fight a little bit. I don't think he had enough for him there.
No, even with the hurt tires from sliding that car around, Fredericks had a little bit more on him and able to make that pass stick.
You can see these guys, they're really nose to tail here. And, you know, just a little bit of space in between each of them, you know. Cogswell and Vidal definitely looking for good finishes. You know, Vidal's under fire from, you know, Cogswell and Bertram, you know, who had trouble early. And, you know, those guys that are in that, you know, 9, 10, 11, and 12th place, they're going to be gunning for someone like Vidal and Thwaites just to get, you know, up into that spot. And for someone like Thwaites, who's not here tonight, you know, that's really going to set Thwaites back to where he might need a win going into next week.
Yeah, and needing to be able to focus on next week and Road America. Some of these guys are not known for road course racing, so unfortunately, that's going to put them in an even bigger hole. So they need to be able to get the job done here without stressing over next week.
Yeah, and I mean, just having that simple little bit of relief, you know, if you can pull off a win here, you know, you're not going to have any cautions to save you next week. You're not going to have, I mean, you're going to have the stage break to have that one little bit of, you know, catch up. But aside from that, if you falter in any way, you know, you're going to be uphill battle the entire time.
Yeah, and a lap at Road America in these cars is north of 2 minutes. So you bobble in the slightest, your race is pretty much done.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to be a very hard thing to handle with someone like Scott Ramler, who, you know, we went to COTA earlier this year, and, you know, he not only won both COTA races, but, you know, he came across the line in both of those races in reverse, you know, spinning it out, you know, coming out of that final little corner, spinning it out on purpose and just backing it down the front straightaway to finish those races. And I mean, he had a 49 to 50 second lead in the Xfinity Series and almost a 30-second lead in the Cup Series race. So Ramler is essentially, in my mind, the road course king. Jensen following behind a little bit, more, probably about his closest threat. And, it's not going to be easy for these guys to take down someone like Rambler.
No, and it makes sense that those are the two guys up front here because of how often you're downshifting these cars. If you're good on a road course, you'll be good here at Gateway because of just that fact alone of being able to know when to downshift and how hard to get back on the throttle in these type of corners. And that's why these two guys are only separated by 0.3 of a second here with about 7 laps to go in the stage.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because, after Road America, we go to some rather smaller tracks. They're not small tracks. The only small track we go to is going to be Iowa, so that's going to be definitely a bumping and banging kind of track. But then we go to Nashville. It's just over a mile. You got 1.5 miles at Kentucky and 1.5 miles of Atlanta. So we're going to have some very big races here coming up that it's going to be about consistency just to keep yourself from faltering in any way.
Yeah, and it sounds like to me it's going to be 3 different types of tracks because is it the new Atlanta or the old Atlanta these guys are going to?
I want to say it's the new one, but it just, we just see it as Atlanta Motor Speedway, so I'm going to assume it's new Atlanta. I like to call it Atlanta Dega.
Which then tells me now that it's definitely going to be, different styles of racing because, as you just said, Atlanta Dega, drafting, foot to the floor, management, because everything happens there so much quicker than what you would see with Talladega and Daytona. Nashville, 1.3 mile concrete track. Another one where you're downshifting into the corners just to try to keep the RPMs up. And then what was it, Kentucky you said, or
Yep,
was it Kansas?
Kentucky.
Oh, that's going to be bumpy as all get out. So that's going to be a handling track. And then, of course, you have the road course with Road America, and then, as you said, Iowa. These guys are going to be in for a playoff series that they're not going to want to forget because you need to be so diverse on all of these tracks. One guy might have an advantage one week, but then fall off the table the next.
Yeah, and that leads to my point of it's not even going to be just completely, versatile and everything of that. It's also going to be consistency. Being able to be consistent, and you really work as we see Jonathan Cogswell take over the spot from Joshua Vidal. But it's going to be very heavy on just being consistent.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is you're going to want the top 5. You're going to want the top 3s because someone may fall off the table towards the end of it. And if you're able to keep the consistency level there, you're going to have a real big shot coming into the finale. Yeah,
so and these guys all year long have really been fighting. And, they put on good shows week in and week out. And it's just, I'm excited for more.
Yeah, and, if you get a league that can throw down great races, race in, race out, you're going to want to be around to call them. And this is my first time with these guys. I'm already enthralled with what's going on here.
Back up front with Jacob Jensen, just about 2 laps until the end of the stage. Still kind of under fire from Liz Rambler. Not really sure, if he's going to be able to get around him, but he's definitely going to put up a fight to try to get to him.
Yeah, and right now this gap has been pretty well status quo with just either side of 0.3 of a second as we're getting ready to wrap this stage up. I think Rambler's just kind of biding his time and just studying Jensen right now. You can see they're running slightly different lines. Just, I think Rambler's just trying to feel things out here as I believe we're coming up to the end of the stage next time by.
Yeah, just 1 lap left in this stage. Rambler makes a little bit of a headway there on Jacob Jensen, but Jensen able to get a good run off. A little bit of a slip there, but I don't think Rambler's going to have anything to get to him here.
No, I really don't think so. He's going to close up to the back bumper, but I don't think there's going to be much of anything. But yet again, here we go for the battle. I think there was a little bit of contact.
Just a touch. Jensen with a little bobble, but able to keep it straight enough that he going to ride off into the sunset for this stage win. Going to get himself 10 points.
Wow, that's huge. As they're still leaning on each other here right now, and Jensen looks like he's going to try to drag race him down the back straightaway here as we're waiting for the caution flag to fly.
And actually, I think I misspoke. I think this coming to here is going to be the... Nope, there it is. There's the caution. I was about to start wondering if I called it wrong.
No, you had that right. I was just waiting for it, and wow. I think these boys are just made each other known that, hey, I'm racing you, you're racing me. It's going to be a shootout at the corral tonight.
So these guys up some much needed stage points. Jacob Jensen ultimately crossed the line as the stage winner. Scott Ramler would have followed in tow, followed by Dalton Fredericks, Jonathan Cogswell, Joshua Vidal, Daniel Krim, Caleb Lamb, Brandon Stower, Stephen Timko, and rounding out that top 10 is going to be Taylor Bertram, who had that slide, able to stay on the lead lap here. So, it ended up working out for him, and ultimately he can focus in on getting on this pit stop and making a little bit of work here.
Yeah, and it seems like everybody's coming down pit road to get a set of feel goods and some go-go juice.
Yeah, and this next final stage here, we're gonna have about just under 100 laps to go to the finish. So now when the math comes in, thinking of how much you need to save to get to the lap that you want to get to, and get to where you can make it on one stop or make it on one stop and a quick splash and go. So managing your tires. So this is where all the math starts happening.
Yeah, it does. And the biggest thing is right now, some of these guys made it on 20 laps for tires. Some of these guys made it on 40 laps for tires. Who took the best notes to try to figure out, okay, now we need to know what's going to work and what doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is, these guys are going to have a notebook stacked by the, midway through this stage, and figuring out like, okay, like I'm dropping off, XYZ amount of time. So really going to have to work to, continue writing those notes and work to find what's going to be the best strategy.
Yeah, and right now I also want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in to the youtube.com live chat, welcoming us into your homes, wherever you are, whether it's been on your phone or on your big screen TV. We want to thank you guys for making Sim Racing Media your choice for entertainment here tonight. Shane Lake and Jordan Brockwell in the Tony Trapazzo Memorial booth, bringing you guys another great night of next-gen action.
An absolutely great night. These guys definitely showing their skills through this race. You see Jensen and Ramler really pulling away from this group here. With Stower kind of playing a roadblock, trying to keep himself in that third place position for a while. Kind of held up Fredericks and everybody in tow to where Ramler and Jensen were really able to pull away and kind of make it a two-horse race for the time being.
Yeah, well, now everything's going to be closing up and everyone's on equal footing again. Now we're going to see who's been holding on to what card and see who plays it first.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a game of Texas Hold'em. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Know when to continue staying out and trying to stretch a fuel run or stretch a tire run, or just knowing when it's done and over with, and you got to fold and come down pit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Rogers.
Amen. Don't get me singing on here now. I don't need to embarrass myself like that.
We'll save the karaoke streams for when everyone's had something to drink that night, okay?
Yeah, nobody needs to come see me do karaoke. I'm okay over here in the booth just talking my stuff.
I think we both are. And this is coming from a former bouncer and DJ. What does that tell you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure you've definitely heard your fair share of some.
Yeah, and there's been a few times I've wondered where my cocktail was. I'll tell you right
Oh,
now, there's
man.
going to be a couple of guys wanting to have a fresh cocktail when this race is over. Bramler
Yeah.
and Jensen are going to be leading us back to the green as the lights are out on top of the iRacing.com pace car.
You know, it always feels, it's just kind of like you've got the cage doors slammed shut right now, and they're pushing at that door, and they're clawing at it, and they're sticking every kind of limb through that door, trying to get it pried open, you know, as they follow this pace car. And it's just like wild animals. As you can hear Jensen already in gear, ready to go, just waiting on Rambler to make any kind of move. As we creep towards that restart zone, we're going to send them off for the final stage. As Liz Rambler waits until the last second to go, doesn't get a major jump on these guys, but you know, does keep the lead as Jensen fights on the outside. Little loose, gonna go way up the track. Cogswell right on the rear bumper as Frederick takes over that second place spot for just a moment as Jensen's all over into the wall.
Oh, he pounded the wall with the right side. That's going to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to knock that toe link out and, you know, really put himself in a hole. I mean, he's stuck inside what I'd like to call just the eye of the storm. You know, everything's calm right now, but, you know, he's got a lot of hungry drivers around him right now as Vidal also jumps on that and takes over that third place spot.
Yeah, you were talking about hungry animals. Well, apparently... Oh! We got a couple
Brandon
more
Stower
cars
and Jonathan
involved.
Cogswell getting into each other.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we got... who was that right up against the wall again? Was that Stower? Was that Stower again up against the fence coming off?
Yeah, it was Stower and Cogswell there. They got into each other a little bit. So these guys really pushing already here as, you know, we do stay green, does not bring out a caution. You know, back up front to Jacob Jensen. You know, he's gotten back around Joshua Vidal already as Rambler up front ran his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the entire race at a 34:26. So we're seeing them pick up speed even, you know, as we go. Like they're finding more and more speed. They're finding good lanes to run and really putting in work here. So, you know, that notebook we talked about, there's a lot of notes that have been, you know, drawn up by at least Scott Rambler with, you know, picking up the speed there.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest thing is with the track temperature, when we started under 100 degrees, I really think that's playing a huge dividend to these guys because, as we know, being iRacers ourselves, once the track temperature goes 105, 110 degrees, especially in these next-gen cars, the tires do not want to stick at all. So right now, being under 100, being right around 100 degrees or so for these guys, this is ideal conditions for these tires.
Yeah, as you guys can see right there on the right side of your screen, we're sitting around 92 degrees temp, track temp, which I saw that and I was like, man, I wish I was out there because, I mean, that's a lot cooler than some of the leagues that I've run in. You know, hot 110 degree track temp where sliding and you know, no grip. So definitely a good set of temper. Just wow.
English no wanna work.
Yeah, no, my English did not want to work. These guys got me so ramped up that I don't know how to do English anymore.
English EXE has failed. Please reboot the system.
Oh, man. Yeah, we all need a reboot every once in a while, right?
Ain't that the truth? That's why I carry a lot of caffeine with me.
See, it gives me the jitters, man. I start shaking the leg, and I'm just ready to go.
Oh, that's just me on a race day in general, man. What are you talking about?
You're not wrong there. We see Scott Rambler continues to lead out front, followed by Dalton Fredericks and Jacob Jensen, who's kind of still showing speed. Doesn't look like there's a ton of damage on that right side. You know, he's definitely got set back, but
yeah,
you know, not too terrible right now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's hurting too bad. I mean, he's only 2 seconds off the lead. That lead has been kind of hit or miss as we're on board with them. Let's see if we can notice anything going down into turn 3 here with the car, and it doesn't seem to be hurting too bad.
No, I mean, you see him. Oh, as we say that, it's a little wild there.
Yeah, that was when he got back on the throttle. He picked it up and then dropped it again. There's the shifting. Down into 4th, I believe, going into turn 1. He's trying to hook the bottom, and it's just, I don't know if the car wants to do it yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, we even see him drop all the way down into third gear there too. So he's not getting into fifth gear this time around. I think last time around he was able to get into that fifth gear just before turning in. So definitely seeing some differences between these guys.
Yeah, it's just I'm having a Charles Barkley moment.
Yeah, see now he goes back down into third gear through this first set of corners.
Yeah, he's trying to get the car to rotate. That's what he's doing, is letting the throttle rotate the car. Because the moment he picks it up, you notice the car tries to arc a little bit more. So he's using less wheel. The problem in doing that is he's going to burn the rear tires off of it.
Yeah, and you know, the big thing was keeping that right front under you last night. So he's definitely going to keep that right front under him, but you know, those rear tires are going to be screaming.
Yeah, definitely. Now, and that's the thing is, Jimmy Johnson, the reason why he hasn't had a lot of success in his return with these cars, you have to drive these cars in such a different way than last year's cars, or even with the Xfinity or the trucks. Those cars you could drive off the right rear tire. These things you have to drive off the right front tire. And it's a completely different style of driving.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about racing is there's not really, you know, anyone that are 100% identical. Like, everyone does something different, everyone drives differently, and you can see multiple different styles work, you know, better for different drivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my style of driving, I prefer to have a loose race car anyway, because it gives me the chance to kind of float the car into the corners more. Someone may end up busting their tail trying to drive one of my setups, but yet again, they may be used to driving a bit more of a tighter race car, where I'd knock the fence down if I tried to go into the corner with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the you know, what I usually try to explain to people. It's kind of like being a bowler. You know, I'm very big into bowling, but you know, there isn't anyone that does exactly the same thing, you know, as far as approach, you know, arm swing, you know, it's all in tune at what you can make work. So it's very much like the same kind of concept. I mean, you could even attach it to, say, baseball with batting stances and swings, and you know, basketball and football with your shots and your passes. Like, you know, there's not really a correct way to do those things. There's different styles and different, you know, ways of doing them.
Talking to a three-sport athlete, you just mentioned the three sports I used to do: baseball, basketball, and football. And especially being a lefty, it is that much more different. I mean,
The southpaw.
yeah, the southpaw with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball when I had it working.
Yeah, you can keep that to yourself. I'm not standing there.
That means you wouldn't want to see my slider either, about 87.
You'd have me on my rear end trying to swing at that stuff.
Well, let's not forget, I also had a cutter, and I was even trying to work a knuckleball in, and that says something when I had a splitter and a sinker going with it as well.
Jeez.
Yes, I was that evil in high school.
Like, dude, I'm hearing this, and I'm just like, I am so glad that I am not anywhere, you know, near your pitching.
Yeah, you figure most high school pitchers knew how to throw a changeup, a fastball, and a curveball. No, I had 5 pitches, and I was working on 2 more. And nothing was cheap.
You had that curveball that just kind of fell off the table, huh?
Now, I had that slider that would just go back foot, and I had the sinker that would fall straight off the table. It was literally a Houdini pitch.
Yeah, you scare me. I'm good.
What?
I'm gonna write
You know
that
what?
down I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. Don't ever play baseball with this man.
What? You don't want to see an 88-mile-an-hour sinker disappear on you?
No, I'm good. We're gonna take a look back here. Caleb Lamb, Taylor Bertram, Steven Timko, and Vidal, they're all within a little bit of a blanket here, really fighting for these positions. You know, Gary Wells is a few laps down here, you know, about 7 laps down with these guys, but still just trying to make headway so that he can kind of try to get back some kind of, you know, some laps, maybe get enough cautions here. I mean, it would be a miracle for him to get back on the lead lap, but, you know, definitely putting in work, trying to get everything he can get. As Taylor Bertram dives it into that corner, he's gonna wipe out Gary Wells.
That's gonna. Oh!
How does Gary Wells keep that straight?
Oh wow! Second close call of the evening.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It just seemed like it almost looked like he just tried to dive it in there to get around Lamb and just overdrove the corner.
Yeah, I don't think he expected Wells to be there, to be honest with you. But wow, Wells with a huge save.
Wells able to hang on there, as now Bertram's got to work to fight and catch up to Stephen Timko, get around him, and try to make some work back up to Caleb Lamb, who's separated himself from these guys.
Yeah, all Caleb needed was those guys to get the beating and banging on each other, and he could check out on that one.
Yeah, that's definitely a change your shorts kind of moment for Gary Wells there. I mean, you don't expect to get blindsided, like that, especially in when you've got a different guy in your rearview mirror and no one else around you. That guy just kind of comes out of nowhere, and I've done it. I've done it worse than that. I've straight up plowed into somebody, and I'm not proud of it, but it's happened.
I'm usually the one that ends up getting used up. I'm not the one using people up unless I absolutely have to, but that's only on a short track and in the street stocks. What?
Crim getting a little loose up there. Way up to the wall. Joshua Vidal looking to the inside. Gonna complete the pass. Move himself back up into fourth place.
Yeah, and the reason we're focusing on all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is Ramler has, he's found Hotel California, and he's decided to try to check out.
Yeah, he's not playing around. About a 2.5 second, almost 3 second lead on these guys in tow. 3.5 second lead over Jacob Jensen right now.
Yeah, he's long gone. He's just going to try to manage it. If I was him, and again, being the driver that I am, I would try to manage this gap. I mean, I know a lot of these guys have the relatives on, or they at least know where people are. I've got my own overlays I use to kind of see what's going on around me. Ramler's got to have something up to say, all right, look, I'm about 2.6 seconds up on the field right now. I can just cruise, keep my tires underneath me, worry about making a pit stop with probably, I want to say, if he's going to split this stage, I'd say probably with right about 50 to go. So we're getting ready to come into that window in the next 25 laps and then just settle it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, last night in the Xfinity Series, we saw 3 guys who pushed it to one pit stop, and, they were crossing the line with, about a 1/10 of a gallon left in their cars, and Ramler barely had enough to do a burnout at the end of that race. So these guys aren't afraid to push the envelope and really stretch it out and kind of say a little Hail Mary and pray that they can get back to that start finish line.
Yeah, well, there's going to be one of these times someone's going to try to pull a Hail Mary, and it could even be tonight, because I've got a sneaky suspicion we're going to see something brewing towards the end of this, and someone's going to try to have a Hail Mary, and someone up there is going to say, nah, son, this ain't for you tonight.
And to just kind of put into perspective how it looks, we're going to go on board with Dalton Fredericks here. Oh, as he gets a little loose coming out of that corner. But, Scott Ramler, 3 seconds ahead, looks just like almost an ant for most of that backstretch to him.
Yeah, that little speck you see in that front windshield, that's not a little chip in it. That's the race leader. As we're on board, seeing what Fredericks is doing with his car right now, he's doing a lot of shifting where, right there, back down to fourth, back into third.
Yeah, we've seen these guys really, both Jensen and Fredericks, the ones that we have been able to ride on board with tonight, they are dropping down all the way into that third gear and, getting that, stretching out that fourth gear until right in the corner entry and, just kind of coasting around that corner, kind of dragging the brake just a touch to get it to turn a little bit. But, as he gets, I mean, that shows you right there what a handful these guys are working with right now.
Yeah, it tells me that these tires are starting to give up a little bit. And the one thing that Fredericks and Jensen aren't doing is saving fuel, because you're using everything you've got and then some, dropping it into third gear. So None of these guys are saving fuel right now. Well, Rambler, if I was him, I'd just cruise between 4th and 5th gear. You got nothing to worry about right now. You're up 2.5 seconds. That orange dot in your rearview mirror is getting smaller. Why push it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, Rambler can just kind of play with this gap. I mean, a 2.5 second gap. I mean, we saw it looks massive, and you know, he can kind of flirt with it, like, okay, I can save a good bit here and just kind of let them, you know, close in on him. But you know, it's kind of like a false hope for some of these guys. You know, they start thinking like, okay, that's the line I needed to run. I gained, you know, 2/10 on him that time. And you're giving them false hope, like they're actually doing the best line that they possibly can. And then you stretch it back out to a 2.7 lead, and they're like, well, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, and that's the big thing is it's race management. The moment you think you're getting in on somebody, that person knows you're getting to them. They're like, nah, I'm going to stretch it out, and you're going to see exactly why I'm out front ahead of you.
Yeah, and I mean, he's definitely one of those guys that knows how to get away, you know, get through a track, and he's definitely going to be one of the guys that's hard to beat this this playoffs, you know. So he's going to be one to watch. As you know, we jump back to Caleb Lamb. Definitely glad to have avoided the Taylor Bertram incident, but you know, Bertram's still trying to run him down, sitting about 6/10 behind him right now.
Yeah, Bertram needs to kind of back his pace down a little bit because he's definitely been pushing that car so hard so far this race. I'm surprised he hasn't put that thing in the fence yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I mean, he was involved in that first little bit of caution where he just got a loose coming off the corner, and you know, had a little bit of as we say that, he goes way up the track, may have grabbed the wall. Gary Wells on the inside, getting a little slideways there, almost like he did before. We might have a caution on our hands.
Oh, he gets it off the racing surface. It doesn't look like they're willing to throw the caution for a single car incident. We look like we stay green.
Yeah, we do stay green. Take a little bit of a look back at that just to see what went on there.
Well, I think what happened was, and we'll end up seeing this,
Bertram grabs the wall.
Bertram grabs the wall, and Wells just tries to stay off of him and just breaks it loose.
You know, the thing is there, it doesn't look like there was really any wheel in that.
No, that was all throttle. That was all throttle. He tried to throttle up to try to get around him, and the back end just broke loose.
Yeah, I mean, take a look here.
And we've got caution on the speedway.
Looks to be Gary Wells again here.
Oh, a night just proceeds to get worse for him. Oh, let's take a look. Through the middle of 1 and 2, the back end breaks loose, and kapow.
When he grabs Jonathan Cogswell there too, who has to go dirt tracking a little bit just to save himself there, but.
And look how close Rambler was to that action. That was right in front of him.
That was right there in his wheelhouse. And, you know, as a leader, you never want to see that. You know, you don't know what could happen. You know, it's definitely terrifying because you don't know what's going to be in front of you there.
No, you really don't. And now things are going to be interesting because, well, it looks like everyone's going to come down pit road, get another set of tires. So strategy so far for everybody has been relatively consistent. But are we going to keep seeing it? Or is someone going to finally figure out, hey, the only way we're going to beat this person is if we get off cycle of this person?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like I'm looking for possibly one of these guys to maybe take two. I know me, I'm not one to make that kind of gamble, but
no,
you know, these guys are a lot better of a driver than I am. So, you know, there's always that possibility that one of these guys decides to take two instead of four, and you know, they saved enough, you know, of that left side that two is the call here for that right side to keep you going and get a little bit better track position.
Well, it looks like right now, it looks like everyone's taking 4 tires, so we're not going to see any gambling quite yet, but that could be something for late race ideas as, well, looks like Rambler's going to beat everybody off the pit road yet again.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be close. Looks like Vidal actually got off before Jensen did too, so Jensen falling a couple spots there.
Yeah, that's not what Jensen needs, but it also gives him a chance to kind of see what the car is going to do in a little bit more dirtier air, trying to compete. Oh, I think we had somebody speeding on pit road. Looks like Vidal's dropping to the back.
Yeah, quite possibly. Lets Jensen back, Krim by. Yep, he's moving out of the way, definitely letting everybody go. So maybe that's how he got there. You get a little
Yeah,
happy on that foot, and it's not hard to do, to just speed just a touch that cost you that position, just because you get a little happy, you put that foot down, and things happen.
yeah, and with the way these cars are geared, you could be in second gear, barely on the throttle. Next thing you know, you're doing 50 miles an hour and wondering, wait a minute, why am I getting busted by the PD up here?
Right.
Speed limit was 45, my friend. That's why you're dropping to the back.
Yeah, Jonathan Cogswell looks like he's sitting on pit trying to get some of that damage fixed there, and must have done something pretty good to that rear end. You that rear end and lose a toe link, so he's been sitting there for about 2 minutes or so. So he's definitely got some damage he's trying to get fixed.
Yeah, I think there was a lot more that got smacked than we thought, and unfortunately, that's going to cost him a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, and for him and Gary Wells, these guys are right there at at tail end of the playoffs. So going into next week, they're really gonna have to. They're just gonna have to throw it all. Everything that they got, the whole book, the whole, every note they got, just start flinging it, hoping that something sticks. As we see Daniel Krim, he's gonna come back down. He might grab a little bit of fuel here, maybe try to have a good run and stretch this thing out. He 75 laps. We're looking about. If I can do quick math, we're looking about what?
70,
70.
63 to go, 63.
Yeah, so really stretching it out, and
This could be the play that I was talking about a minute ago. Who was going to be willing to be the one to go off strategy?
yeah, and I mean 2 laps, that could be a big game changer there.
Oh, easily. I mean, unless there's a late caution, this could be the move that actually ends up getting somebody a top finish, as looks like we're doubled up and the lights are off the pace car one more time. Michael Scott Ramler, who's been leading the majority of this race, and Big Orange itself, Dalton Fredericks, is going to be leading them up to the green.
Yeah, and as we go, these restarts are going to just become more and more dramatic. If you get some more late race restarts, these guys aren't going to be as patient as they have been. These guys are going to push for everything, and maybe even use the bars a touch. So it's going to be an interesting story that could possibly develop as Ramler takes off, gapping Caleb Lamb and Frederick there on that restart.
Yeah, Fredericks is going to settle into second, swing up into the racing group. What that's going to do is let Jacob Jensen slide into third to get around Caleb Lamb. And once again, these are the 3 guys who have been up front pretty much the entirety of this race. Now they're going to be able to separate and be like, all right, we're going to have 60 laps to go. Let's settle this between ourselves.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try to get that spot from Ramler, because it seems to have that clean air. We always talk about turbulent air and clean air. As you see there, Fredericks and Jensen coming off of that corner, a little snap loose there. As I see somebody down on the inside there. Yeah, Bertram again, getting a little bit of loose there coming out of that corner.
Bertram's been giving us the highlights here tonight, and unfortunately, some of them haven't exactly been the best. But we back up to the front. Ramler's already starting to tick off a mere half-second lead on both Fredericks and Jensen.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just showing that he's got this figured out, and that clean air is perfect. Like I was saying beforehand, that Jensen and Fredericks coming off that turn 4 there, they both were right in tow and had that little bit of a moment where they both kind of got loose. And Ramler is not putting it, going easy on these guys, as he sets the fastest lap again at a 33.98. So he's found something here that he's just flying.
Yeah, he's got something in this car dialed in that he's liking, especially here, and he's showing exactly why he's going to be a threat for this playoff races. We got Jensen diving to the inside of Fredericks with a big move, just trying to worry him a little bit, I think, just popping out of his mirror, just trying to be like, all right, I'm going to spook you a little bit there, Chief.
Yeah, and you know, that's a big thing with these guys is putting putting that, I don't want to necessarily say fear, because you know these guys they race with just about no fear with how they run, but kind of putting that anxiety that he's there and he might make a move, he might use the bumper, just kind of getting his mind away from driving out front as he gets a little bit loose off of that corner. Kind of putting it in his mind that you could be making a move, you could be doing something, and kind of taking his moment, his focus away from what's in front of him and focusing more on what's behind him. He's not going to be able to hit his marks. He's not going to be able to pay attention to the RPMs and hit his numbers as he dives to the inside a little bit here. Not quite going to be there. He's going to dive it in, drift up just a touch, a little bit of contact, but they keep it straight.
He's putting the worry in him right now, is what we're basically saying, ladies and gentlemen. He's just putting that little shred of worry about, well, what's he going to do now? And we're seeing it with Jensen trying to put the move on Fredericks, just kind of popping out of his mirror a little bit and just be like, you got to worry about me right now. Don't worry about that leader. I'm going to be the one to get to him, but I'm going to get around you first, but I'm going to make you worry about how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and like that, it's more than just a physical game, with racing. It's all about the mental too. So, for someone like Bertram tonight, where he's had a couple of slip ups and he's slid off corners, and his mental is probably a lot worse than these guys that are up front. He's really, he could be frustrated, he could be a little aggravated, and when a car doesn't work the way you're expecting it to, it's very hard to keep your mentality straight. So, as I see a little bit of puff of a smoke there.
That may have been from the car in front. That may have been in that 47 car.
Everything does look pretty all right on Daniel Krim's car right now, but definitely saw a little bit of puff of a smoke there. I don't know if somebody grabbed a little bit of a slide there and put a little bit of smoke in the air, but
yeah,
definitely something going on.
Yeah, hard to tell, but as long as the track is green, that's all that matters. And when it's Ramler's lead right now, all that matters to him is getting to the checkers with a 1.3 second gap on Big Orange there, with Dalton Fredericks driving that 20 car as hard as he can. He's not making that much ground up.
Yeah, no, and like we were saying before, just kind of watching the mirror of Jensen, because Jensen's a strong runner. These top three have been the solid racers of the year so far, in just in general, across both series. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think these three could definitely be the guys that we see contending for the championship once we get down to the last couple of races. So it's going to be a big fight for these guys.
Yeah, with the top five separated by 28 points, the top three sitting in points right now: Dalton Fredericks, Scott Raymer, Jacob Jensen. And look where they are right now.
Yeah, and
point proven.
Just based off of Fredericks and Ramler, they have a majority of the poles this year, 4 apiece. So, they're strong contenders each and every week. And between the three of them, that's 4 wins, 2 for Fredericks, 1 for Ramler, 1 for Jensen. So, these guys scream, just being consistent.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is consistency wins championships, and we're exactly seeing why right now, because throughout the season, these have been the 3 cars that everyone's had to look up to the top of the pylon for. And once again here tonight at Gateway, it's these 3 cars setting the pace.
Yeah, but Ramler definitely showing where the pace is, continually to play with this lead here. He's not letting them get close. He's not letting them get, he's not running away from them. He got a manageable lead, and now he's just kind of, maintaining, and that's a big key, you know, maintaining the gap and you know, also trying to save at the same time. You know, you're doing 17 different things with two hands, and it's really a hard game to play.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest thing right now is, once again, I've been watching this gap between himself and Fredericks kind of fluctuating between like 1.4 to 1.6 seconds, and it's just been maintaining there. As it goes up to 1.7, he had to shut me up a little bit. But the point is, again, race management, and he's been able to do that better than anybody else right now.
Looking back here a little bit further in the field, Brandon Stower is barely, you know, about a half a second or so ahead of Timko, following behind Lamb. You know, they're kind of equally spaced right now. And, you know, these guys are really starting to, you know, plateau and kind of equalize themselves to where no one really has a better advantage over the other right now.
No, right now it seems like everyone's kind of singled out a little bit and just kind of seeing what their cars are doing. Again, this is what they were doing for the last stage, was seeing what their cars were doing on these older tires. This race has figured itself out to single out right now, and it's not surprising that Gateway did that. It did it for the actual Cup cars. It's doing it again as well. As I say that,
Joshua Vidal finding his way around.
Yeah, I say something and everyone decides to try to shut me up.
Well, you know, that's how it works. As announcers, you know, they'd love to prove us wrong and shut us up. So
yeah, I guarantee a lot of these guys have the stream. I'm like, we're going to shut Shane up for a little bit. We're actually going to make this interesting.
oh, as we're on board with Krim, he's getting loose. He's going to smack that outside wall.
Ooh, that was not a good sound.
No, not at all. That thing's going to be crying for a little while here as Dahl pulls away from him now, and he's going to be under from Bertram here shortly. You know, dropping 2/10 to Bertram already. So it's definitely a little bit hurt now, you know, as he drops another 2/10 through that same corner to Bertram. So a lot of these guys fighting loose on exit. You know, we saw it all night. We saw Gary Wells have a couple of moments. You know, unfortunately finds himself, you know, just kind of hanging on and just trying to hang out. And you know, we saw Bertram a few times sliding out. We've even seen our leaders get a little squirrely.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is that's a good way to get those tires roasted. And that's the thing. These older tires are starting to dictate now, and it's about who's able to manage them. And right now, Ramler's barely set a wheel wrong this race.
Yeah, I mean, he's got this up to almost a 2-second lead, and you know, kind of right back to where he you know, was. You know, I almost wonder if right about now he hit that number that he was looking for, and now it's just all go, as we're gonna go ahead and jump underneath that gearbox here in just a touch of a second. And I mean, you could just see like they're just back there. You know, they're not really gaining on him. They're not really gaining on each other at that you know, at this moment. So Ramler's just like we've been saying all night. You know, he's a really good game manager. You know, it's almost like he's that coach with that playbook, and he's got that game plan, and you know, he called all his plays, and you know, now he's looking to get to that point where he can just start doing his kneel downs. You know, he's got the lead. He's ahead by a few touchdowns, and you know, he's just trying to get to that time where he can just start taking his knees.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I'm hearing out of him right now is how easy he is on the throttle coming out of these corners. He knows exactly how to manage these tires. We're on board with Big Orange here, Dalton Fredericks. Oh, there you go, right there, downshifting into the corner, but he's pushing the car just a little harder than what Ramler's doing, and I think it's hurting him in the long haul because that front end's not wanting to grip early.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that we've seen is like these guys get in this hole and they start driving even harder, and that's just the nature. As he gets a little bit of a slide there, you know, that's just our human nature when it comes to racing. Is, you know, we really want to push and push and push and try to just get to where we want to be, and it's hard to kind of knock that primal instinct in your head to, you know, kind of calm down, let the tires come back to you. You know, and you know, make a better run for it. But I mean, with someone like Ramler, you can't afford to really back off any, because Ramler, again, game manager, race manager, like he knows how to run his car, and at just about every track we come to. And I mean, he's stretching it to a 2.4, 2.3 second lead right now.
Yeah, he is. And I glanced down at the youtube.com chat, and I want to thank everybody for joining us here on SRM tonight. The Derby boys are cheering on Big Orange there. Let's sing, let's go Dalton and Gulf McLaren F1. It's Rambler. So we got ourselves a few different fan bases live in the chat tonight. We thank you guys for coming out and joining us as we have hit 40 laps to go in this race. And Rambler's just waiting for that white flag to come out.
Yeah, I'm really starting to think now he hit that number that he was looking to save, and now he's just going to go out for a drive. He's just going to run this thing until it's dry and just kind of hang out.
Yeah, I mean, 2.7 seconds now, and it's just growing. So he's definitely hit his numbers, and I think Fredericks is starting to burn the tires off a little bit more. Before long, he's going to get into the clutches of Jensen, and both of them. Oh, did I just see Jensen bounce off the wall?
May have. We've seen him really pushing it off these corners here just about all night. Him and Fredericks really having moments. As we see right now, Caleb Lamb's going to dive into pit road, get a little bit of a splash, maybe some tires.
This could be the start of the domino effect. If Lamb is the first one to blink, trying to get tires and fuel. I watched a lot of races from Gateway this weekend, this past weekend, the weekend prior, and those on fresh tires gained 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds on the leader. Do you really want to give up that much time knowing that these guys are going to be flying right back by you? Or do you want to try to make the move to say, hey, look, I'm done conserving. I'm going to try to make some hay while the sun shines?
Yeah, and it's always a catch-22 as we take a look here at the stint length. The longest stint that these guys had was 34 laps. We're sitting around that window here soon. These guys really haven't had to fully run it out. So I still think these guys might still be looking for a pit stop. As we get closer and closer to that 140. So it's going to be something we're going to have to keep our eyes on and really keep a focus on, as this race goes on.
Yeah, definitely. As Rambler has he has found the button and said, you guys catch me if you can. 3.4 seconds now. Every time we keep checking in on this gap, it goes up by 6-7 tenths of a second. It's almost like every couple of laps.
Yeah, and I mean, we thought Rambler was an ant on the screen before. I mean, just look at him now. Like,
he's
up
gone.
to 3.5 seconds. I mean, he's just a dot. I mean, I can't even say he's an ant. He's just a dot in the windshield of Dalton Fredericks and Jacob Jensen.
Yeah, not even a dot, because you go around this corner, unless you're looking at that A post, you're not seeing them.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's one of those things where you just kind of hope for the best here. And as we jump on the nose of Jacob Jensen, he's still within a decent distance of Fredericks, but I'm almost wondering if he's, used up those rear tires. He's not really able to get a good drive off, and it's really showing, that Rambler has it figured out with his exits, that he's smooth and methodical off, as these guys are starting to feel that little bit of desperation where they're begging to be able to get closer to him.
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier, and this is what road course guys are able to do. You said Rambler has been exceptional on road courses this year. They know exactly how to be methodical on the brakes, on the downshifts, on the upshifts, and on the throttle. And he is showing right now. Again, if you're great on road courses, you're going to be great on tracks like this. And he's done checked out.
Yeah, as we see another guy coming down to take some service is Taylor Bertram. So I'm almost wondering if maybe these guys are trying to jump a little early, as we see Jacob Jensen. Jacob Jensen's coming down now too. So he might force the hand of Scott Rambler and Dalton Fredericks to make a pit stop here in the next couple of laps, if not this time by.
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Who's going to be the one to blink first out of the top dogs? And it was Jensen. Now, do we see Do we see Ramler come in first? Do we see Fredericks possibly come in? It's gonna be a big question. Or are these guys gonna try to run it out to the point where they know they're not gonna be caught, even with the guys with fresh tires, and just try to say, hey, look, you're gonna have to unlap yourself and then chase us down Bill Elliott style.
Yeah, and we know that's not easy to do. I mean, you're asking a lot out of tires that are already kind of struggling, to begin with, and any kind of little bit of struggle and slide is really going to hurt your chances of doing that. So, Jensen back out on the racetrack, sitting 43 seconds, one full lap behind Scott Ramler.
Yeah, full lap and a straightaway. So, it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be what these tires are going to do. Because again, it's usually about a 1.5 to 2 second differential between the old and new tires. As we're riding on board here with Ramler just cruising at this point. That's literally all he's doing. You can hear him just kind of coasting it into the corner, a little bit of trail brake, and just listen to how smooth he is on the throttle. It's effortless.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's really rolling into it, almost kind of like he's just pointing his toes just enough to kind of slowly push that pedal down and get going. As Dalton Fredericks makes his way down pit road right now, he's going to come down and get service, and I've got to wonder, could this be when Scott Ramler decides, okay, my competition just pit, I can come down and get my service now and stretch that lead even further, as we see.
Oh, we got a caution.
Ramler just possibly made it into the pits. I don't know.
It looks like there's something on the front straightaway. I'm trying to see who it might have been.
Looks like Caleb Lamb here.
Yeah, on the throttle, bobbles it, and at least keeps it off the wall. But now this is going to throw a monkey wrench into everything.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's a possibility that Ramler may have not been on pit road in time. He was right there. Oh, that's going to be close.
Oh, if it comes down to it, and he's getting his stuff, I think he drove through. He drove through.
Okay, so he did drive through, so he does not get that penalty. So, but still, now these guys are going to be in front of him. They're going to take that pit stop with him, and he's going to find himself in just a touch of traffic here now. And we've seen that having that track position is key on these restarts and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's going to have to fight his way. He's got to fight his way up through the field. He's had a strong car all race long. Now we get to see how strong it is in traffic.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter how good your car is, if you can't run it, the way that you want to run it, it's you're kind of holding back the horse. You got the reins pulled, you're holding him back. So it's going to be an uphill battle there. If he's not able to stretch his legs and go.
Exactly, and a lot of these guys who just came down pit road, they're going to have slightly older tires, but they're going to be at least through a heat cycle. So as I say that, it looks like everyone else is going to be coming down pit road behind them. So once again, Shane, shut up. This is what I get.
Daniel Krim, he was one of the ones that took that pit to get a little bit of extra fuel, and it seems he's possibly doing that again. But I feel like that might have really thrown a wrench in his plans there.
Yeah, easily it did, but I don't think he's just coming down to get fuel. I think he's going to come down and get another set of tires, because fuel is no longer a concern here. Let's take a look as he comes down to pit road in his box, and yep, up goes the car.
Yep, he's going to grab tires. We're going to look up here at front. So Brandon Stower, the benefactor of that caution there, finds himself sitting up front. Vidal, Timko, those guys haven't been as fast as Rambler has. So, you know, Rambler's going to have to work his way around that on top of having both Dalton Fredericks and Jacob Jensen behind him.
Yeah, and he's going to have some really, really fast cars behind him. And unfortunately, that is going to be a huge, huge problem for Storer because his car hasn't exactly been happy this race. Now it's going to be even more unhappy knowing he's got some bullets in the chamber behind him that are ready to eat him alive.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like Rambler's definitely in a tough spot here too, just because, you know, you're going to have those two guys that have been battling you all night long. And, you know, the restarts are the best time to try to make up that speed or make up that position, you know, kind of throwing it down into turn one inside, you know, where you may not exactly be able to fit a full car. And, you know, this could be where Jensen and Fredericks kind of, you know, finally get that river card that they want and, you know, pull off the winning hand.
Yeah, well, the gloves are off, the sunglasses are on, and someone's going to be bluffing because we're coming back to 25 laps to go. It's showtime.
Yeah, and I mean, sitting with roughly about 26 or so laps, I want to say 25 when we come back to green.
Yeah, 25 to green as the lights are out.
You know, 25 laps, you know, at somewhere like here, you know, it races fast. It's still a good, you know, bit of time. So it's going to be interesting. You know, these guys are going to have a lot less patience at, you know, lap 115 than they did at, you know, lap 1. So it's going to get interesting. It's going to maybe get a little bit of spice here, you know, but, you know, we're having a little bit of that leftover from Taco Tuesday and get a little bit of spice as Stower rolls towards that restart zone, gets a fire off, leaves Krim and Vidal behind. He says, I'm not messing around. I want to gap this field as quickly as I can and get away from those strong cars of Rambler and Jensen, as it looks like Rambler's stuck in the middle of 3 wide, through it 3 wide, gonna make it work, moves up 2 spots just there on the restart, and it looks like Jacob Jensen saw it and said, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, these fresh tires on these fast cars. Whoa, look out!
What a save! Bertram,
look
Caleb.
in the back of those two. Oh.
That's a hard hit.
Keep it green, but that impact hurt.
Yeah, we do keep it green. We'll take a look at that here in a second, because Brandon Stower and Joshua Vidal trying to run away from Scottless Rambler here.
Yeah, but right now those two are not going to be able to run too far because Rambler's car has been on it's a slot car. Let's call it
100%. Taking a look back here at what happened to Caleb Lamb. Oh, there it is. Bertram gave him a shot, and then he just hang on for the ride.
Yeah, Bertram was trying to catch his car and smack the 51, and unfortunately the 51 gets right reared into the fence.
Back up front, Joshua Vidal under heavy fire from Scottless Rambler as he dives to the inside, going to take away that spot going into turn 3.
The Rambler has been on rails tonight, and he's showing again why he's going to be the force to be reckoned with here in the playoff picture. As we're coming here with, it looks like 22 laps to go. Rambler is getting ready to eat Storer for lunch.
Yeah, I mean, Stower was the guy that was able to kind of hold up Fredericks earlier. So if he wants, he could play some heavy defense here. But, you know, with someone like Rambler who's that hungry, I don't think Rambler would be afraid to give him a little touch, get him a little out of whack as Rambler dives it to the inside, makes it stick down there on the bottom. Gonna have a drag race coming out of turn 4. Rambler not quite able to make a pass there, but definitely showing a lot of strength coming through these corners.
Yeah, Rambler tried to go full yeet mode and it didn't exactly work because Storer got the drive off the outside in turn 3 and 4. And yes, I just went yeet. Thank you very much, Kevin Harvick.
You know, and that's what I was saying. You know, Stower was the guy that was holding up Fredericks, you know, that one run on older tires. Looks like Rambler is going to make that pass now. Stower might have a chance to cross over, but with a car like Rambler, Rambler's able to just kind of make that pass and pull away.
Yeah, Ramler's car has barely been upset this entire race, and I don't know what anyone's got for him at this point. I mean, it's going to take a caution and something huge happening to get Ramler out of the lead as we've hit 20 to go.
Yeah, especially right now with Jacob Jensen and Dalton Fredericks putting up a fight, and they still got a lot of time to catch up. You know, a lot of time to make up to Liz Rambler once they actually make a pass on one another and you know, set their sights on cars in front of them. And you know, some of these other guys that, you know, were kind of hanging back, you know, towards the further spots in the standings are showing a lot of strength here. You know, as we see here, Brandon Stower still hanging on to second place. Daniel Krim, you know, playing the strategy a little bit and, you know, ultimately not working for him, finds himself in third in that final podium spot. And Joshua Vidal, been clean most of the race and finds himself sitting right there in fourth and, you know, just kind of trying to hang on to a spot.
Yeah, he's been doing everything he can, and that now that car's making me want a doggone Baconator. Jeez, I didn't think I'd be hungry this race, but now I'm hungry. Thanks.
Hey, I'm hungry whenever I'm awake, and I'm probably dreaming of food too. So
I'm right there with you, dude. I'm a fat kid at heart. I mean, I'm right there with you.
I'm not a fat kid at just heart. I'm a fat kid in someone's eyes too. So
hey, I'm 6'4", 285. I feel you.
Back up front, Liz Rambler, not really running away like he was before, but you know, kind of doing his race management possibly. You know, sitting around 0.7 of a second lead, but you know, Stower showing a lot of strength here too. You know, not really letting him get away. You know, he gains a little bit on corner exit here. Rambler then starts to pull away as he goes down this front straightaway or the back straightaway here, but you know, Stower finding himself in a good position right now.
Yeah, Stower's been able to. He's bounced back from a couple of earlier issues to come back here to run second, but everyone's been running second to that 57 car tonight because good gravy, that thing has been hooked up.
Yeah, and as I said, you know, he was only hanging around a half a second to 0.7 of a second lead. He stretches it out to 1 second. But for someone like Stower, who's sitting 7th in points right now, you know, this is going to be good for him if he can pull off the second place finish with 17 to go here. You know, that's going to be a good finish for him. He's going to find himself move up just a touch, you know, as he's ahead of Caleb Lamb, who he's only 1 point behind. And you know, Jacob Brower not here tonight, so you know, that's going to be essentially a free spot for him. You know, and he's 2 points behind Vidal, so he's going to find his way around Vidal possibly here if everything stays the way it does. You know, excluding playoff points and the stage points because don't have them right now, but you know, it's going to definitely move him up the rankings and not necessarily keep him safe, but, you know, make Road America a little bit lighter on his shoulders.
Yeah, this is going to be a playoffs point shuffle for sure because the only person that was in front of Scott Raymer was Dalton Fredericks, and right now Fredericks is in the rearview mirror with Storer kind of picking things up. He's going to end up leapfrogging a couple of people because everyone that was in front of him in points is currently behind him on track. So again, this is going to shuffle things up leading into Road America, and now there's going to be more pressure put on some of the guys that you thought would have had a good day today are going to need a better day next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Rambler here, he's going to get, most likely, if everything stays the way it does, going to get the win here and going to find himself, you know, put back into the next round. And I mean, if he really wanted to, you go ahead and sit on a nice beach, you know, the following week and you know, take a week off. If he truly felt like it, you know, road course racing would just be a good momentum bringer for him.
Yeah, I mean, right now this is a great momentum. This is a great momentum starter, is what this race has been, and it's going to be, if he is able to run Road America and win that, it's just going to keep going. And if you get a driver hot in the playoffs, they're going to be the biggest threat to everybody.
Oh, 100%. You know, you don't walk away from a table when you're on a hot streak. You keep playing, you keep playing, you keep playing, and you hope it never ends.
Yeah, you keep throwing those dice until it comes up snake eyes. And I just made another gambling reference. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got it all for you here tonight.
Yeah, go ahead and if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800. No, I was kidding.
Please gamble responsibly.
Oh man, if we could bet on this, I probably would bet the farm on Scott Ramler because he's one of the most versatile drivers here in my opinions. I was talked to him many times this season. He was very close to wins several times this season. Based off of just strategies, he should be sitting with 2, 3, maybe even 4 wins this season, but cautions untimely falling as they almost did to him, this week. And, it took him a little while to get there to that win, once we hit Coda. But ultimately, he's the strong guy, I think it's going to be tough to beat. And you're really going to have to hope that he makes a mistake, in these next couple of races. But for someone like Scott Ramler, he does not make mistakes. He does not really falter at all. I mean, there's been a couple times that he's admitted he's ran too hard. He's kind of pushed the limits, but he still puts on good runs even when he does that. So,
if there's one driver in NASCAR I can think of that flat out described, it has to be Mark Martin. 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, great everywhere. Great on the short track. Great on the intermediates. Great on the supers. Great on the road courses. I mean, we all know Martin's prowess on the road courses. It sounds like Scott Ramler is the same type of driver. And you get somebody like that hot, forget it.
Yeah, and I would even throw Carl Edwards in that conversation, dominant on just about every type of track and, versatile in every way, and, every form of the word, and really able to just kind of drive and push, just unfortunately for both Martin and, Carl Edwards, should be multi-time champions, but they fall short. But Ramler might lift those guys a little bit by getting a championship this year.
The one word that can describe Edwards and Martin to a T, methodical, and we've seen it here tonight with Ramler.
Yeah, and the word that usually is associated with that saying is smooth and methodical, and he's definitely been that. He's been the smooth criminal here, kind of stealing these positions and stealing these points away from these guys.
Don't worry, Billie Jean, it's not my son. Oh God, help us! If this is how tonight's gonna go, oh dear God.
Hey man, we love calling up here. These guys give us plenty of action. They definitely give us the opportunities to throw some good little references here and there, and it's ultimately a fun series to watch. And even with Ramler running with a 3.5 second lead, I mean, we've been in the action all night long, as we see right here. Jensen running down Daniel Krim, Vidal making the pass on Krim, to take that 3rd place spot. So there's still action everywhere, every week.
Yeah, there is. And just because someone's running away with it now doesn't mean they're going to do it every week, time in and time out. And we get to see more and more unfold as we're on board here with Jacob Jensen. He's trying to chase Krim down. He's not backing down from anything.
No, absolutely not. Jensen, Fredericks, and Ramler, they're in the top 3 in points for a reason. They have a no quit, never give up kind of attitude, and he's fighting this loose car right now, as you saw him kind of slide it off that turn 4. But they have that never say die, never quit kind of attitude where, that's why they are where they are in points.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said earlier, when all 3 of them were right there together, 1, 2, 3, there's a reason why they are leading in the points, and that was it. And we're going to see it again, I'm sure, before this season's out.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, once we get some of these other guys that are in this playoff that we're unfortunately unable to make it tonight, it's gonna just intensify everything. Because I mean, this entire group of people in this playoffs. I mean, you got Fredericks, Ramler, and Jensen, you know, top 3, and then you have Vidal, Lamb here tonight. Jacob Brower, I mean, he's a winner this season, two-time winner this season. Stower showing some strength here this week, you know, able to run in a second position. Michael Thwaites, you know, winless in the Cup Series, but you know, he's gotten a win at Indy, you know, through the Xfinity Series. Krim showing a great running here, sitting in 4th right now. Bertram struggled a little bit, but you know, he's had a strong year as far as being you know, a contender and you know, having those 5th, you know, top 5 and top 10 finishes. And same thing with Jonathan Cogswell and Gary Wells. You know, they show promise, and they've got a little bit of a track record to show that they can run really well and run really fast. So we get this entire playoff, board here together, and I mean, we're going to be in for some great shows. And you know, the closer we get to that finale, you know, these guys are really going to start using their cars a little bit more. You know, they're super clean with how they run, so we won't see anybody get completely cleaned out, but we'll definitely see some guys really trying to start to use those bumpers. You know, as Ramler comes off turn 4 to take the white flag, dominant throughout this entire race. 4.7 seconds to the second place driver. Takes it into turn 1 and 2, and he's just going to continue to ride that thing off smooth, with Brandon Stower following in tow, followed by Joshua Vidal.
Yeah,
and it's
this car has been clean out on rails. It's a 57 of Scott Ramler, decides to take it through 3 and 4 one more time. He's got nothing but daylight ahead of him, and he has just made the statement in the playoffs: you want the championship, come through me. Scott Ramler wins it in Gateway.
I mean, just an absolute show put on. Vidal following in 3rd, Stower coming in 2nd. Krim running out, nice finish for him, sitting in 4th. Jacob Jensen and Dalton Fredericks not really able to find the speed there at the end, able to get through that traffic. But you know, what a show these guys put on. You know, it's truly wonderful, and you know, I'm excited to get through this with these guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I mean, this is my first time, like I said, covering this series, and I'm excited to see what these guys are going to bring down to it. I believe Scott Ramler is about to burn the front straightaway, a whole new one here. Oh, yeah, there you go, buddy. You ain't need those Goodyear tires anymore. Oh, he's going to back it across the line. All right, dog, I see you. I see you.
Yeah, that's his patented show of performance there. He puts it in reverse and finds himself just doing a Polish victory lap, but in reverse. Like, I mean, could we still call it a Polish victory lap? Because he's technically
this is what
he's
Kurt
technically
Busch used to do.
Yeah, like he's still facing the way he would on a victory lap, a Polish victory lap, but he's going the ordinary way around the track.
I think this is like a Polish victory lap. There's enough Polish in there to grab some sausage and bratwurst at the end of this.
Absolutely.
I'm out. I'm out. I've made too many food references.
So
this reminds me of Kurt Busch back in like his Penske days when he drove the Deuce with the COT. I think it was like 2009, 2010. He would do the same thing.
Yeah, and for him, he did it, you know, at Coda. He did a whole lap in reverse, but you know,
how did he not burn the transmission?
Magic. But you know, as he continues to do his celebration, we're gonna go ahead and bring up our 3rd place runner, Joshua Vidal. Joshua Vidal, it's Jordan and Shane up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
So, you know, you ran around here, you had a little bit of a rough start, you know, kind of sitting mid-pack, not really able to find anything, and then that caution kind of fell for you guys, you know, you and Stower and Krim, it kind of fell in your favor. And, you know, how how do you think that really, kind of helps you motivate yourself a little bit, coming in third here tonight?
I could tell you against these drivers, I definitely needed this P3. I kind of wish it was a P2, but I just couldn't catch the guy that was in P2. That caution really probably saved us all. I mean, that's the only reason why I think me and Brandon and Daniel were pretty much up there fighting. Otherwise, it would have been between Scott, Dalton, and Jensen the whole race. I would have been an easy P4, P5, but yeah, that caution definitely shaped the race.
Yeah, and so with guys like Fredericks and Jensen and Ramler, they show strengths and wins throughout the season, and they're really a strong core of drivers, and everybody in this league is super talented. But with guys like that, how do you keep yourself motivated and trying to do everything you can to kind of take those guys down?
I mean, mainly try to capitalize on their mistakes, and when I'm behind them, try to just see what type of lines they're running, where they're braking, where they're maybe shifting, if I could hear them shift. Other than that, not really too much unless I'm around them.
Yeah, and I mean it's wonderful to watch you guys run. You guys put on a show, even with someone like Ramler, running out about a 5-second lead. You guys still managed to put on a great show, and we enjoy watching you guys. And this playoffs is going to be wonderful to watch. Before we send you back, is there anybody you want to shout out and thank?
Yeah, there's a few sponsors. Main sponsor BMS, Often Turn One podcast, All Star 15. That's pretty much it.
Well, we congratulate you on your podium finishing third, and we wish you luck going into Road America. Completely different kind of a setup, but gonna wish you some luck and hope to see you next week.
Yep, thank you.
Up next, we got our guy Brandon Stower, and I believe you've got him.
Hey, Brandon, it's Shane and Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy. How y'all doing?
Man, you got yourself a well-deserved and well-fought P2 finish here tonight. What was the strategy, especially late race? Because that 57 had everybody covered. Did you have anything for him, or did you know you were just going to fight for second place?
I'm just happy I had the opportunity to fight for second place. I mean, I'm pretty sure I hit everything except the pace car. Like, I almost lost it in the first stage a couple of times, and actually I almost slammed the inside wall on the backstretch. And then at the end of the stage, once we went back green, I took out my own teammate. So I want to apologize to Jonathan, but I locked up the brakes, just from carrying too much speed. And honestly, as it went on, I repaired my car and said, just be happy with 8th, and hey, we're in second.
Yeah, end up gaining 3 positions from where you started earlier on tonight. Next week, Road America. What are your thoughts going in?
The thoughts are going to be the same as today. Don't kill the car and don't kill anybody else. No, in all seriousness, I do know road courses very well. My specialty more or less is endurance racing and sports cars. So I have high hopes for next week, but in this car, I definitely don't have the practice. So if I come out of next week in a solid top 5, I'll be really happy.
Yeah, the Toyota Camry is a lot different than the Chevy Corvette. Believe me, been there, done that.
Oh, yeah, and I'm used to the Porsche, so it's definitely not a rear engine.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out to help get it done for you this week?
Yeah, so the entire 5280 Sim Sport team. So Fen and Jonathan both raced tonight, and they both did a fantastic job. And again, I'm sorry to Jonathan for taking him out. Thank Drinking Bros, All-Star 15 TV, and then a shout out to our team sponsor, Wanderers Rentals. They still have some openings for August if you're looking to take a vacation in Ohio and do some nice camping. So take a look at their August bookings and check them out.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on that P2 finish. We'll see you next week from Elkhart Lake.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.
That's P2 with Brandon Storer, everybody.
And now we're going to bring up our winner, Mr. Scott Ramler. It's Jordan and Shane up in the booth. You got a copy?
Got you loud and clear.
Yeah, well, I can't say I'm surprised, to be talking to you tonight, and that thing was on absolute rails. How do you do it, man? I just feel like you find your way, and as long as luck sticks with you, you always find a way to really stretch out those leads. And it's kind of where you have a second or 2 second lead, and you see the guy close in a bit, and then you just say, okay, I can stretch it out now.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but when we started practice, the track was just, there was no grip whatsoever. I mean, our qualifying times were easily half a second off what I had been practicing on my own, and I was really scared for the race because just the lack of rubber that was put down, there was nothing. If you went into a corner a little too deep, you were washed into the fence. If you got on the gas a little too early, your right rear just got roasted and didn't want to propel you forward. It was like a razor's edge battle from beginning to end up until the track started gaining some rubber. It gained a little bit of grip, and from there, I just set sail.
Yeah, and set sail is kind of an understatement. I was trying to figure out, when you came in a pit and you possibly have gotten a penalty there. I was like, man, this guy can't catch a break, but you end up coming through and still winning. And I was already preparing my questions. I was like, man, what you gonna do at Road America? And I already knew the answer. I mean, top tier road racer. So look forward to you running there again. So how are you gonna play that out next week with trying to keep the momentum running?
Well, it's right around this time of the season that I really just start to get switched on. I've been hungry for a championship in this series for quite a while. I've come close one time. I lost out to my teammate GT Hawkins a couple years ago in the Gen 6 Cup series that we were running, and that was genuinely a heartbreaker. I only missed out on the championship by 1 point, and what ended up getting me was final round at Phoenix. I started outside pole, went to go cut the dog leg. The guy underneath me didn't cut the dog leg, and I ran with damage for the entire length of the race, just trying to salvage something, and missed it by that much. So they're going to see, even my teammates are going to see a side of me that they're going to be terrified by. And now that it's game time, there are no teammates. Get ready.
Man, I was terrified of what you were doing out here earlier watching you gap everybody. If you're saying this now, even I'm scared.
Well, it's time to get serious, and I put myself in a good position, so I'm going for it this time, and I will not be denied.
Yeah, you definitely make a statement tonight for sure, and I definitely think you'll be the guy showing an even bigger statement next week. We saw what you did at Coda, so I imagine it's going to be very similar. We look forward to talking you through this entire playoffs. We think you're one of the front runners, if not the front runner, and look forward to talking to you next week. Before we let you go, though, is there anybody you want to shout out?
Want to shout out Jeff McConey and McConey Setup Shops for being my sponsor. Jeez, it's almost like I did this last night. But thanks to them for coming on board. Get to chalk up another win 2 days in a row. Thanks to Joe and Gary for holding everything down at Wells Esports. All the guys in the admin booth for making everything run. Ed Morris for keeping the league up and running. Didn't have a very big turnout tonight, which I was kind of disappointed by, because that could have made things a heck of a lot more interesting. But hopefully we can have some more as we go into the playoffs, and have a little bit of fun with everybody, because I mean, you may not be running for a championship, but you get to drive a race car, so at least have fun with it. And thanks to you guys and for broadcasting everybody that came out to watch.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of fun watching you guys run. So it's thank you for always putting on shows. No matter if you're in a 5-second lead, and there's somebody somewhere within this field, putting on a show. Because I mean, this entire league is full of an amazing class of drivers. So we look forward to running with you guys for the rest of the playoffs and having a lot of fun this season. All right. Well, with that, I mean, not a ton left to here to do. Just run through the results rather quickly. Rounding out the entirety of the race, you got Scott Ramler, dominant finish as that is the practice.
I got the list in front of me if you once you find the graphic, but no, you're right, man. Scott Ramler just put a clinic on today, finishing ahead of Brandon Storr, Joshua Vidal, Daniel Krim, and Jacob Jensen, the top 5. Dalton Fredericks, the big orange, number 20, finishing 6th. Stephen Timko, Jonathan Cogwell, Taylor Bennett. Hang on a second here. Taylor Bertram, yeah, the guy who gave us half the excitement here tonight. Caleb Lamb, Gary Wells, and Logan Cougar finishing off the racing 12 that showed up here tonight. This is the first time you and I have done something since Talladega when I first came here.
Really?
Yeah, this is the first time you and I have crossed paths since Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun race. It's fun working with all the different people here, and it's truly. I look forward to doing this more. It seems to be a great group. Really bouncing off each other. This is a great race to watch, and I look forward to the rest of this season without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And Scott put a statement piece together today, and if anything is going to come out of this, watch out for Road America. I'm going to be intrigued to see what he's able to do coming up next week.
Yeah, and his race at Coda, dominant. So I definitely think he's going to be one to mess with the rest of this season. He's a phenomenal driver. So with all that said, we're gonna go ahead and sign off here. It's Jordan and Shane up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
As the man whose booth we sit in would say, as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. And until we meet again, everybody, please do take care.